Good evening and welcome. Tonight we'll be going over the history and geography of what you can see here is on Dakhiliyah in Oman. My big map did not put any delineations of any areas within Oman, so I had to draw my own. It's not the best, but I think it's pretty good with my very poor art skills. So, Dakhiliyah here in Oman means the interior. Actually, hold on. I have a better map to show you real quick. Means the interior, and you're going to see why once I get to this page. You'll see it a little bit better. So, Dakhiliyah, you can see right here, does not touch this coastline up here in the Gulf of Oman at all. It is all completely landlocked. So it is the actual interior of the main populated area of Oman. Up here is Muscat, the capital, but it's kind of a better drawing. It's an old map, but pretty good. So yeah, let me set that down carefully and show you more of this really incredible place. So we'll talk about why being called the interior is important, but there's kind of two different regions within Dakhiliyah, and we're going to start up here in the mountains. These are the Al-Hajar Mountains. They stretch this way, and they are rugged and beautiful. They're definitely shaped. You can see all the little wadis here, all the waterways coming down from the mountains. They're definitely shaped by centuries and centuries of rain, creating wadis flowing down the mountains and creating some beautiful shapes, which I'm going to, of course, show you on the tablet on Google Earth. Some of the highest peaks in Oman are here, including the highest right here. I kind of cut it off here. This is Jabal al-Shams, and it's a really big, beautiful mountain. There are lots of little mountain towns all throughout the mountains and bigger cities kind of at the foot of the mountains, including, let me see, gotta get here a little closer, Niswa right here, and Bala, and then Smail is, Smail's right here. It's hard to read with all these little lines of the wadis here. Smail is right here. This one's interesting because it's like the area where people from the coast can enter into the interior easiest. So this area is called the Smail Gap. And then the second half is all down here, which again, you can't really tell from all of these wadi lines here, but this is the desert. There's nothing here. It is sand. It is desert area. There is lots of oil mining, refining, etc. in the desert area down here in Oman. That makes it very important for Oman's economy. But besides little oil towns that have sprung up around the refineries, there's nothing in this area. It is all sand and rocks, and this town, Adam, is considered the last oasis in Dakhiliyah. Past this, you got nothing. So we've got the mountains and the desert. They're all really beautiful and amazing, and there's lots of cool caves in here and little waterfally things whenever the wadis are flowing. And segging right into the history of this region, what's very important about the water from the mountains and the oases is that the ancient Omanis created the Aflaj irrigation system, which I think talks about it right there. But it's actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It spans many other places in Oman, but we're going to take the opportunity to talk about it here. So let me grab my tablet so we can go on UNESCO's website and read more about the Aflaj irrigation systems of Oman. It says the property includes 5 Aflaj irrigation systems and is representative of some 3,000 such systems still in use in Oman. The origins of this system of irrigation may date back to the year 500, but archaeological evidence suggests that irrigation systems existed in this extremely arid area as early as 2500 BCE. Using gravity, water is channeled from underground sources or springs to support agriculture and domestic use. The fair and effective management and sharing of water in villages and towns is still underpinned by mutual dependence and communal values and guided by astronomical observations. Numerous watchtowers built to defend water systems form part of this site, reflecting the historic dependence of communities on the Aflaj system. Threatened by falling level of the underground water table, the Aflaj represent an exceptionally well-preserved form of land use. So what's really interesting about them is that they would find underground water sources and would dig these canals, and using gravity the water would go through all of the different neighborhoods and things and towns and be of use to all the people who needed it for farmland. So it all travels by gravity through these really, really neat old canals. You can see all the date palms here. Lots of caves, like I said. Flowing water. And yes, these are all still in use today. Still used for their original purposes. Oh look, that's a kind of a neat picture with no water flowing through it. It looks like it's turned off there, but feeling all of this green, right? Really neat. So, let me slide that over. The early Omanis did not have a written language, so we don't have a lot of concrete facts about what exactly was happening in this area, but we do know that it was used for farming, as we can see with the irrigation system. Like I said, it could have been developed as early as 2500 BCE, but the ones that are in use today were definitely built sometime around 500 CE. And the various towns that sprung up around these irrigation canals started to grow. They became very prosperous, and they also grew date palms. And they are very important in the frankincense trade, which was predominantly grown a lot farther south, but they would travel up here to the coast to be traded out. So they became very important trade centers and farming centers, important for the caravans and all of that. Nizwa in particular was the most important. It was actually the capital of the area from the 6th to the 7th centuries. But the area vastly changed in the year 630 when some guy, when Muhammad, the prophet, wrote to the town of Nizwa. He wrote them a letter and said, I've got this cool new religion, you guys should check it out. And the people of Nizwa were like, yeah, totally, this sounds awesome. So Muhammad, via letter, personally converted the first Omanis to Islam. Actually, it was in Samail, where apparently the very first person to convert to Islam in Oman lived, and he built a mosque, and it's the oldest mosque in Oman. It's built by the one guy, the very first one to convert. I think that's really cool. But this area in particular became known as the Egg of Islam, which is a neat little phrase. So this area became not just important for trade routes and farming, but it became a center of education. It's from this area that Islam spread out to the rest of what is now Oman today. It's a very important little area. They built lots of forts in these towns between the 12th and 15th centuries to protect those trade routes, particularly frankincense. And since these were trading hubs, an important area in the scope of world trade, this area was actually visited by two of the most famous explorers of medieval times, I suppose, Ibn Battuta and Marco Polo, which is pretty neat. Let's see, we're going to talk about Bala Fort next. The Bala Fort was probably built sometime in the 12th century, but it really became important in about the 17th, I want to say. And it's actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so we're going to pull up UNESCO's website again and read about the Bala Fort. How lucky that, oops, wrong area. We're going to go there later, the Bala Fort. How lucky that we have two UNESCO World Heritage Sites in this area. It's pretty neat. Bala Fort, the oasis of Bala, owes its prosperity to the Banu Naban, the dominant tribe in the area from the 12th to the end of the 15th century. The ruins of the immense fort, with its walls and towers of unbaked brick and its stone formations, is a remarkable example of this type of fortification and attests to the power of the Banu Naban. So there are lots of gorgeous, like, sandstone forts like this, but I think Bala Fort is like the best preserved one in Oman. Not one of the most famous. We'll talk about the most famous next, but definitely the one that, like, really accentuates the type of architecture they used for these forts. They had these big round towers and these rounded walls, these beautiful arches and windows. Oh, I like this picture. Look at the staircase. That's so cool. I imagine that these buildings were just like thriving little areas of trade, education. I wonder if they were kind of like caravanserais in a way. There's a cool overhead view there. The Omanis were really into their walls at the time. Every town was walled off, as you can imagine, at the time for their protection. Look how beautiful. This architecture is so striking. It's absolutely lovely. So Bala Fort is a big one. Every major town in this area has like a big fort. But Bala Fort, I believe, is the best preserved one. But Nizwa Fort is the biggest and apparently the most visited tourist site in Oman. I read on their website, so they might be a little biased, but that's what their website says. I should say that, real quick, it was very hard to find history facts about this region. I know I'm kind of presenting it very casually, but I spent a lot of time researching this place. And I had to find little bits and pieces all over the internet and in books and things to find all this information for you guys. So if I do leave something out that's really important, I apologize. Go ahead and leave it in the comments if you know. But I'm doing what I can based off of the information I was given. So I got most of this from a lot of like tourist sites, so maybe they exaggerated some things. But according to this website, Nizwa Fort's the most visited tourist attraction in Oman. The fort in Nizwa was expanded and made what it is today pretty much in the 1740s. And this time in Oman was very important, because prior to this, the Portuguese were controlling the trade along the coast. And it was at this time that the Omanis managed to put them out of the country. And I think at this time it was called Muscat and Oman, this whole area here. Their trading empire started to blossom at this time. So that's when Nizwa Fort really became prominent. Very famously, Oman's trade industry expanded, their empire expanded. They expanded down to the Swahili coast, down to Zanzibar was part of Oman, down in what's now Tanzania. So it was sort of like a new golden age for Oman at this time. So the area also really blossomed. But most of Oman's history is up here in the coast. So I couldn't find a lot of information about what happened between this time and the 1950s. Because in the 1950s, things were starting to shake up a bit, particularly in terms of Britain's claims to areas around the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Peninsula. When oil was discovered, right, the British wanted that. They had lots of different territories and things in this area, so they wanted their slice of the pie. But also, they had just gone through World War II, and their economy was suffering, and they couldn't really afford to have all of these territories in the area. So they thought, what if we just, heavily influenced all of the countries in this area? And Oman was no exception. Again, it was called Oman and Muscat. So here's what was happening at the time. It was called Oman and Muscat. So Muscat is up here. This area was Oman, and down here is Dhofar, which we're going to talk about in another day. That's a whole other fish to fry. If you know, you know. But Oman was just this interior area. And the religious leaders of the area were pretty different from the religious leaders up here. Up here they had sultans, and here they had imams. So sultans more political leaders, imams more religious leaders. And the British wanted to install a pro-British sultan, which the people of the interior did not want, so they fought what's now known as the Jebel Wars. Jebel means mountain in Arabic. So there were lots of battles up here, and Nizwa Fort in particular were actually attacked and bombed. So there was lots of damage to Nizwa. They also apparently tried to attack the Aflaj irrigation systems, which would have been devastating to, not just a historical concept, but the people still relied on these for their agriculture, right? So, thankfully that didn't really come to pass. The wars only lasted for about 2 years or so, and the British got to install their sultan, and the sultan unified Muscat and Oman. Actually, no, that was Sultan Qaboos much later, but eventually the areas of Muscat, Oman, and Dhofar were made into one big country just called Oman, all unified. So the interior was an important little area because it was somewhat culturally different from what was happening up here and down here. So they were kind of having their own thing. So Oman officially drew lines among their districts, regions, what have you. So Dakhiliyah officially became a region. These lines became official in 2011. And that's pretty much where we are in the history today. Again, if I left out anything, please let me know. But that was pretty much all that I could find. But next we're going to go to Google Earth and explore this area. Let me tell you, I spent hours exploring on Dakhiliyah. Hours. I've never spent this long on Google Earth exploring and finding the most beautiful sights. This corner of the Arabian Peninsula is so stunningly beautiful. I can't stress that enough. So I'm not going to be able to show you all of the cool things I found. I'm just going to try to show you some of the highlights. Let's check out this slideshow real quick. Some of the beautiful little mountain towns you can see here, all built out of stone. Absolutely gorgeous, big, beautiful mosques, especially in Nizwa. The big fortresses. There's the irrigation. Again, I love this architecture style. Look at this old archway. That's so amazing. That the irrigation canal there. That this is all still standing to some extent, right? Big date palms. Beautiful scenery. This is all in the old forts for sure. This is not how people are living today. They are living in towns like this, but Oman nowadays is an extremely modern country. They all have like cars and air conditioning and things. They're not all living in tents with their camels in Oman. It's a very modern country. So let's explore the mountains first. Let's look at Jebel Shams. These mountains, again, there's just something very striking and beautiful about these rock formations. And I think it's the millennia of wear and tear you can see all along these mountains, making these beautiful rugged shapes. I wonder if it's because I'm American and it reminds me of like America, because we have lots of little mountainy areas like this. But I don't know, there's something very, very beautiful about it. Look at these goats. So sweet. Big mountain here. Old forts. Isn't this remarkable? Wow. Going camping out in the mountains. Lots of caves in this area because, you know, all the wear and tear of the water erosion creates really cool caves. Oh, that's cool. Really cool caves all throughout this area of Oman. Ooh, wow. Oh, that's so beautiful. You can rent some houses over there. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, cool. Looks like a little star map or something. I'm not sure. But that's really neat. Let's head in. And if I turn on the 3D, you can really see just how mountainous and rocky this area is. And there's lots of little gaps. You can see the oases there. This is Nizwa. So you can see how green it is compared to all of the rocky areas around. Let's see if we can find anything cool in Nizwa. My favorite part of exploring the Arabic world is that I cannot read Arabic, so I'll find little things like this and be like, what's that? Let's see if this is anything. Where'd it go? Is it anything? Oh, it is. Look it. Alright, I haven't clicked on this, so the pictures might take a second to load. It's a cute little park. So it's like, what could this be? And tapping on it, I found like a camel racing arena out in the desert. I found this one cool cave in the middle of the desert that went really, really, really deep. It was so cool. Just like tapping on these little Arabic sites that's not written in English and being like, what is that? And being surprised every single time. That's been one of the best parts of exploring this area. So yeah, big mountainous area up here. Let's see if we can't find. Oh, there's Jabal al-Aqtar. I found so many cool sites in this area. I can't remember them all. Is that not gorgeous? Oh, that's amazing. Look at that. Absolutely incredible. Look at the terraced farming with the date palms all up there. So neat. You know, this was someone's house like hundreds of years ago, right? Big old pomegranates. And look at this carved into the rock. So amazing. Ooh, they've got their motorcycles out. Big old pomegranates. Look at the size of those. Just like Oman's thing is mixing modernity with history. Oh, that's a cool picture. And I think this area really exemplifies that. There are, the highest waterfall in Arabia. He says, look. That's the only picture. You have to take this guy's word for it. That's the highest waterfall in Arabia. But, yeah. So many incredible places. I wonder if I can find... I'm not sure. I need to... It was over near Jebel Shams. An area that one tourist website called the Grand Canyon of Oman. It was somewhere over here. I think it's right here. Let's look at this viewpoint. Oof, he looks kind of cold. Just, ooh, that's a neat photo. There's that thing again. That must be what's at the top of the mountain, huh? Ooh, an observatory. But yeah, just these huge canyon areas. Valley necrosis? What is that? Oh, it's a beautiful little oasis. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And look at the town up there. Just like, I literally spent 2 hours on Google Earth exploring Oman. It is such a beautiful, beautiful place. So many sights to see. Look at this cave. Oh, imagine riding your bike all through here, going camping, eating some delicious fruits. They're probably grown in the area, right? So neat. But yeah, those are the mountains. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Usually when I'm going through and I'm like, oh, I have to remember so I can show this to everybody, but I had too many of them. And it's all just so beautiful, so I can't remember where they all were. But yeah, highly, highly recommend, just when you're bored one day, go on Google Earth and explore Oman, because you'll be pleasantly surprised at all of the amazing sights to see. So let's head down from the mountains and let's go into the desert. Let's zoom out a bit so we don't get lost. We still want to stay in Dakhiliyah. Okay, so there's Nizwa. And as you can see, there is nothing here. Let me make sure that I'm still within the boundaries. Oh, I was just about to leave them. Look at that. So let's see if we can find an oil town. Looks like there's one over here. Al Kasbah. There's nothing there. Literally nothing. There's something very beautifully haunting about just absolutely nothing. Looks like they're planning to build things out here, but it's not there. Okay, let's try another. We found the main road, so that's good. What was that? Oh, I remember this. This is one of the weird caves I found, because I was like, what the heck is that? I'm like, okay. And then you realize, oh, it's a terrifying deep cave. Look at, this scares me. Oof. I don't know. There's something about being deep in the belly of the earth that really creeps me out. But how did they find this? Just in the middle of nowhere, there's a huge cave. Kind of eerie. Let's find an oil town. We tried Al-Qas, but I don't want to go too far. But there's an airport. Gaba Airport. Well, oh no, there we go. Oh, here's an oil town. We found one. Okay, so as you can see, I try to put a pin there so we can zoom out and you can see, like, there's nothing around. That's like in the very south of the area. So you can see that these little planned cities are really beautiful. Let me go back to 2D so you can see it from above. Lots of greenery, lots of like planned city building, right? Very much a planned city. Looks like there's little farms out here too. And then where's the refinery? These big apartment buildings for the oil workers. And it's definitely out here, right? Oil refineries. So there's a couple of these scattered around in this part of the desert. They're very few and far between. Oh, here's the refinery. Here it is. Big old oil refinery. Very interesting, I think. And essentially that is Dakhiliyah, the interior. Let's Let's put it back up so we can see the borders again. Yeah, we were right on the border, weren't we? So that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. Maybe it was over here. I don't remember where the little Grand Canyon was. I forgot to show you all these mountains too. Please take the time to explore Oman. It's so worth it. I also hope that you have a very good